Good evening and welcome to our Smyrna Town Council meeting. I'm going to call our meeting to order, but before I move into our prayer and pledge, I just want to tell Chris, we get to see the intro before each meeting and it looks amazing. I know that she's put a lot of hard work and we talked a little bit about it, but just kudos to Chris on that. So tonight our prayer is going to be done by Chaplain Bob Horn with the Smyrna Police Department, and our pledge is going to be done by Assistant Town Manager Todd Spearman. If you'll all stand with us, please.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we're indeed thankful for the beautiful day you've allowed us to enjoy. We're thankful for the gathering here of the community and the leaders that impact this community that we live in. We're thankful for its citizens. We're thankful for the decisions that are made here and pray that they may be in accordance for the good of the people and the good of thy will. Pray that you continue with each one that serves thee. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please face the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chaplain. Thank you, Todd. Miss Amber, if you'll do roll call, please.
I will. Councilwoman Peebles.
Here.
Councilman Cole.
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Morrell.
Present. Councilman
Councilman Short.
Here.
Councilman Sullivan. Vice Mayor Atkins.
Here.
Mayor Reed.
Here. We'll now move on to item 3, which is approval or corrections of the minutes of the January 10th, 2023 regular meeting and the January 26th, 2023 workshop meeting of the Town Council. Jeff, are these in order?
In order to form, Mayor.
Okay, Council, anything you need to add or change? Seeing none, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks. Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Brian, Amber, any correspondence or communications tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Awards or recognitions?
No, ma'am.
Thanks. We'll now move on to our consent agenda. These are items that are determined by our town manager to be routine matters and not necessarily needing discussion, but any item that a council member would like to pull off and discuss individually and vote on individually, we can do that. I always like to read these items so that those in the audience and those at home know what we're voting on the consent agenda. Our first item is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract with J. Crumbia Construction Incorporated for upgrading the 1R lift station. Item B is approval of the terms of and authorization for the Public Works Department to submit an application to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers relative to the use of Jefferson Springs Park for Boat Day on June 17, 2023. Item C is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute an agreement with G-Works, formerly PubWorks. Item D is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute change order number 2 for the Fire Hall 1 project. Item E is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a 2-year agreement with Fostering Healthy Solutions, FHS, for contracted DEI services. Item F is approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract amendment with Premise Health, formerly Care Here, for on-site medical services. Council, is there anything you'd like to pull off and vote on individually? Not, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda passes. We have 3 items of old business tonight that are public hearings, and our first one is a consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 28L Group C, parcel 16.01, to go from R2 to C1. It's requested by Jeremy Bird. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 4/10 of an acre and is located at 102 Wright Street. Kevin?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this is a request. It is on Wright Street, about 200 feet west of the intersection with Front Street. This land use plan would support this is our depot district character area, so it's really a mixture of uses would be supported here. They're kind of more of a downtown urban feel to them. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R2 and C1. There is not adequate fire flow at this time for this, so development of this property is not possible until that issue is resolved. That, of course, is regardless of what it is zoned The planning commission did review this, did recommend approval unanimously. Staff would also recommend approval.
No changes since last time.
No changes.
Council, any questions or comments for Kevin before we move to the public hearing? Okay, seeing none, then I will go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, I'll go to the council for a motion.
I move we approve.
For a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Our next public hearing is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 27P, Group B, parcel 19.00, from R1 with H1 to C4 with an H1, requested by Sandra Elias. The property requested to be rezoned contains 32/100ths of an acre and is located at 104 Hazelwood Drive. Kevin?
Mr. Mayor and Council, this is in the same neighborhood as the previous request. It is on Hazelwood Drive, about 180 feet, kind of southeast of the intersection with College Street. Again, same land use character area here with the Depot District character area. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1, C2, and C4. This property does lie within the historic overlay, and that would not change. There is an existing single-family house on this property. And just as with the previous request, adequate fire flow is not attainable at this time, so development of this property beyond that existing residential use is not possible until that fire flow issue is resolved. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this request, 6-4-1 against. Staff would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin on this one? Okay, we'll go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and go to council for a motion.
Move we approve.
A motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Our last public hearing tonight is a consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 33, parcel 58.00, to go from R1 to PRD. It's requested by Clay Wallace. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 23.13 acres and is located on Fortitude Trail. Kevin?
Yeah, this is a PRD request on Fortitude Trail. It's east of Montgomery Way. Land use plan would support medium-density, single-family residential in this area. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R1, R3, and PRD, which those two PRDs are Woodmont and the Colony at Green Tree. This proposed PRD is for 70 single-family lots. Access would be from Fortitude Trail, as well as a proposed stub to a future section of Woodmont. Houses would have a front setback of 20 feet, but the garages would be at least 35 feet back, so adequate parking would be on each lot. The water lines within this development will have to connect to the main at Skinner Drive in order to receive adequate fire flow. The layout does propose a connection to a street in Woodmont that has been approved on a preliminary plat as a cul-de-sac. In discussions with that developer as well as their representation, they actually are slowing down the development of that. They're kind of phase 8 right now is where they're at. This is phase 9 and 10 that they would be accessing. And so it's going to be some time before they even get to that section. So we'll be able to fix that when those plats come back in. Planning Commission did review this request, did recommend approval unanimously with that requirement that stub street into Woodmont be connected. So staff would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin on this one?
When you talk about that stub being, is that, in that middle section on the right-hand side?
On the right-hand side, yes. Yeah, the main connection that's existing already, and then the road is just south of that would be a cul-de-sac with a turn to the south.
Questions for Kevin? That's a way to make an entrance.
Big Gary's backing up.
Anything else for Kevin? Okay, this is a public hearing, so we will go to the public to see if there's anyone here to speak for or against this item. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing and go to council for a motion.
I move we approve.
Tim moves that we approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. We'll now move on to our new business. Tonight, we have two items under the Planning Commission report. The first is a consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation in R1 zoning of property located on tax map 54, part of parcel 8.02. It's requested by Lindsay Sadler, containing approximately 3 acres, and the property is located on Rocky Fork, Amaville Road. Kevin?
Yeah, this is a request for annexation. It's on Rocky Fork Allenville Road. It's about 600 feet south of the intersection there with Kedron Church Road. Land use plan would support medium-density, single-family in this area. Surrounding zoning is a mix of R3 and PRD, which are the Hemsley Place and Bankside PRDs in town, and then RM in Rutherford County. The town would be providing all services to this area upon annexation except for water, which would be provided by Consolidated Utility District. This is basically a portion of a parcel. The remaining parcel, which has a house already on it, has not been requested for annexation, but they do want to be annexed and connect to town's sewer system. So the Planning Commission did review this request, did recommend approval unanimously. Staff would also recommend approval.
Okay, questions for Kevin on this? Mark or Tim, anything you want to add on this?
I'm good.
Good. Okay, council, any questions?
So this is being subdivided. It's
Yes.
already.
Yeah, they would have-
it's
they would
one
have to
lot,
sub-
And there's already a house on it, but they're gonna,
Yes, they would be
Subdividing.
subdividing this. There's about, this 3 acres, they would subdivide off of the parent parcel. But there's a little over 5 acres remaining that would not be
Okay.
annexed.
okay.
And just one other thing I did want to point out, we have already annexed the right-of-way of the road here, so we would not be annexing any roadway.
Other questions for Kevin? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Move on to item 2, which is consideration of an ordinance relative to the rezoning of property located on tax map 50, part of parcel 12.02, to go from PCD to C2. It's requested by John McCleskey. The property requested to be rezoned contains approximately 1.05 acres and is located on Lee Victory Parkway. Kevin?
Yeah, this is a request for rezoning on Lee Victory Parkway. It's at the intersection with Harold Lee Drive, directly across from the commercial development across on the other side of Lee Victory. Land use plan is the 24 Gateway character area, which would promote kind of a mix of use and services, retail, hospitality, restaurant, et cetera. Surrounding zoning for this request is all C2. The previously approved PCD is for just under 7,000 square feet, 8-bay automotive repair facility. This change would revert the property back to its previous zoning of C2. The Planning Commission did recommend approval of this, and staff would also recommend approval.
Questions for Kevin on this? I think we had quite a bit of discussion about it before, so, yep. So, if there's no questions for Kevin or anything that Tim or Mark want to add, then do I have a motion?
I move we approve.
A motion, a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Item B under new business is our packaged liquor board report. There are no applications for the town to consider at this time. Item C is consideration of an ordinance relative to the amendment of the municipal code Title 18, Water and Sewer, Chapter 3, Water and Wastewater Tap Fee and Rate Schedule, Section 304, Special Assessment District. Jeff, are you taking this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Mayor and council, this will codify the assessment zone for Olive Branch Basin Sanitary Sewer, as well as while we're into the code, speaking with Mark Parker, clarified in the Harts Branch that adding the language plus the current base zone fee, and likewise in the Sam Griffin Road Basin, adding the language $400 plus current base zone fee.
Questions for Jeff on this? Seeing none, do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
From motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Is HG awake? Oh, yeah, he is. Item D, consideration of an ordinance to amend municipal code Title 10, Animal Control, Chapter 2, Dogs and Cats, Section 209, Sale of Dogs and Cats. Jeff?
Yes, Mayor and Council, this would be a new ordinance that would not affect anyone that we're aware of in the town at this time, any businesses that are operating, but it would prohibit the retail sale of dogs or cats outside of, say that they can utilize adoptions through rescues or from the animal shelter, those types of things, but in an effort to avoid puppy mills and those types of conditions for animals, the city of Franklin and Metro Nashville have adopted a similar code.
Questions for Jeff on this?
Is that the main area of abuse that we're seeing as far as, breeders and the mills and things like that? Or are there any other animals that we should be concerned with?
From my reading, it's mainly just, mainly the dogs, but I guess there are some cats if people like those. But I think there's just a movement, there's so many to adopt, and the terrible conditions they've kind of find when it's just for profit. But this will not affect, your regular breeders, it would not affect. It's just a retail sale at a store.
Other questions for Jeff on this? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
I move we approve.
From motion, Jerry, is that a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. We're down to other. Anything under other tonight? Nope. Status reports, Rex?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. December state shared tax, we received $701,643. December local sales tax, we received $1,628,335. As you can see, our sales tax keep coming in above budget.
It's a good thing. Questions for Rex on this? Thank you, sir. We're down to announcements. Directors or department heads, anything tonight? Nobody's racing to the podium. Amber? Brian D.?
Mayor Council, I do have a couple things that I'd like to share with you. The first one I want to do, I want to play a little game with our police chief. I'd like to ask him to come to the podium, and I'm going to ask him some questions tonight. So- If anybody has the Jeopardy music and play in the background, we can move forward. Chief, I know you have one item that you wanted to share with the council and the community that we're very proud of with our police department, if you would, and then I have a couple others I just want to talk about, so.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I just want to take a moment to recognize some of the great work your police department's doing. One in particular is Officer Trong responding to a suicide call on January 27th. The husband and the wife have been married for 66 years. Husband recently had a stroke, I believe, and he felt like he was burdening his wife for having to care for him. He made a call in, was going to take his life. The wife was calling in. They left the line open, so when Officer Trong got there, everything he was doing and interacting with a couple, dispatch could hear that. So dispatch actually wrote a letter up, commendation for him, basically talking about how he was able to de-escalate the situation and basically save a life and keep this gentleman from taking his own life that day. I don't think things like that, the bad press and the media that police get every day, these are the things I wish people saw more. Because this is the type of thing that officers do every day that people just don't realize. He saved someone's life that day and helped that couple and got them the help they needed. The other example, or the example I wanted to share tonight, was two of the detectives, Steve Hanna and Jason Andrews. Having worked homicide for 5 years, I know what it is and the burden that you carry when you have a homicide that's unsolved, and the time and the dedication and diligence you have to show to solve these cases. They had a case in 2014. They worked the case for 5 years, and when a witness came forward and actually gave some evidence to them for the case, they were able to arrest the party for an execution-style murder. This party made bond and was released in 2020. The person had given the information. He then went to Kentucky, covered his trails pretty well, and executed that witness that was going to testify in the murder from here. Andrews and Hannah worked with Kentucky State Police, CBI. Rutherford County was able to put a case together and put the evidence together to be able to gain a conviction, an arrest and conviction for this party. So now they were able to solve two homicides execution style. It's cold-blooded murders out in the open. This is the type of work where this guy was taken off the streets and he'll never be able to harm anyone again. He'll be serving the rest of his life in prison. And this is over almost a 10-year span that they worked and was able to work hard and get this case solved. And having done that for 5 years, I know the weight and the work it takes to get these things done. And it makes me proud to be part of this department in the town. And I just want to recognize the good work and the great work that these men and women are doing every day.
Questions for Chief?
The only other one I was going to mention is we had one of our officers, Andrew Schaefer, it's in our detective division, was recognized recently with WGNS as the Good Citizen. And I think if you hear the story, it relayed back before he became a detective. He was one of our canine officers, and his canine retired, and Officer Schaefer actually adopted the dog. That happens most regularly, but the dog passed, and Officer Schaefer was a good student of that dog all the way through to the end, and just wanted to recognize his efforts and the commitment between him and the officer that's actually a canine for us. So I appreciate their work, and it was nice to see them recognized by WGNS.
Chief, we appreciate you bringing us these things. I totally agree that so much of what we see in regards to law enforcement is the negative things that take place. And while we hate to see these things taking place in our communities, it's nice to know that there's somebody there day in and day out that is protecting and serving each one of us here in the community. So I also appreciate Dispatch for recognizing the job that our officer did and recognizing that. It's always nice to get a pat on the back, and we appreciate everything that they're doing. So, thank you.
Thank you.
I've got a couple of other things. Yeah, I've got some other things.
For Chief or
No,
just
I'm
in
done with Chief.
general?
I'm done with
Okay, so
Chief.
Chief is
I'm done with
done.
Chief.
Okay.
I wanted to recognize Kevin Relford, our plant manager out at our water treatment plant. He recently was the speaker at our local Rotary Club and did a really good job and answered quite a few questions for our community about water and the quality of the water. And we do have some really good quality water that goes through the system here in Smyrna, and they do a great job of making sure of that. Also, on the water topic, this weekend was a busy time for our water maintenance folks. We had a couple of pretty severe line cut and we had a line break. They basically worked most of Saturday and all night Saturday night getting water service restored out in the Old Nashville Highway, Rock Springs area, and appreciate the work they did. And there was some long hours and some hard, dedicated work. Also, TDEC has been in here in the last few days doing an inspection at our wastewater treatment plant, and happy to report that we received approval to move forward with our 9 million gallon a day expansion as of March the 1st. Everything was found to be in good form. And then I love this one, it's TPUC. We're full of acronyms. TPUC was conducting the DIMP examination for our gas system, which is Distribution Integrity Management Plan. And we did pass that again with flying colors. Great work being done by both of those departments in our utilities department. Mayor, I think you received an email as well as I did from one of my favorite people, Anthony Proctor out at Seven Oaks. He's Seven Oaks subdivision. He's our trash guru, but This time, he was writing us about showing some appreciation on February 1st, an employee from the Water and Sewer Maintenance, Matthew, was dispatched his address because of a low water pressure issue he and his neighbor were having, and he just wanted to let us know that the young man did a great job during the service call, and he really appreciated his professionalism and his respect as a customer that he felt by our representative, and we appreciate Matthew doing that. Also, I've got a couple announcements I think are going to be on the board. One is the town of Smyrna is hiring. In this economy, there's a lot of people out there looking for jobs. We have some really good jobs available, and everything from in our police department and dispatch all the way through to our maintenance departments with water and sewer. We also have some SOAC, and the Parks Department has some openings. So anybody that's interested in working for a really good company, I've said this many times, I had the benefit of working for a corporate entity for over 30 years, and I promise you, my best benefits and the best place I've ever worked is the town of Smyrna, and I say that without hesitation. Next, I just want to say thank you to Dr. Snyder and Snyder Chiropractic for their generous car seat donation. This was received by our police department, and we have that ability now to work with some of the people in our community that need a car seat and need to know what the proper installation of a car seat. They can come to our police department. We also are qualified to do the installation at our fire department. So if you want to go to buy one of the fire departments or go by our police department, we can give you some help with that. And again, thank you to Dr. Snyder and his team for providing some seats for us that we can utilize with our community. We have a community baby shower coming up. We're collecting items right now: diapers, wipes, blankets, bottles, different things that needed by our families of young children. And you can drop that off again through February the 15th down at our police department at 400 Enon Springs Road here in Smyrna. Or you can call Shirley Key at 615-267-5151 if you have any questions. But we will be accepting items Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 p.m. Then we'll be taking those, and in combination with the United Way, we'll be doing distribution of these items into our community. Smyrna Police Department is, in conjunction with the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, will launch a social media driving safely campaign in February, and that has now been in process. Sometimes things just don't click. Make sure and click it or ticket, as they say, down at the police department. It is a good time just to remember the need for continued safety in our vehicles. And it's probably good for me to read this.
I would agree.
I'm sometimes not real good at that, and I'm trying to do better. Talked about hiring. Just wanted to point out, too, that our splash pad swimming pool and our Splash Town swimming pool and splash pad, it's that time of the year at Gregory Mill and down at the Town Event Center. We are hiring seasonal employees. If you have a child in high school that has the ability to provide lifeguard services or head lifeguard, splash pad attendants, gatehouse, if they're not qualified under the lifeguard rules through the services, we actually will perform that training for them. And right now, we're looking to hire lifeguards at $13 an hour, head lifeguard at $14.50 an hour, splash pad attendant for $12 an hour, and gatehouse clerks for $11 an hour. I will tell you, if you're over 16 years old and you're looking for a job, that's a pretty good wage. I can remember I hauled hay for a whole lot less than that when I was about that age, so I would like to have had a job at that rate. Next, I want to just talk about, what are you laughing at me because I work so cheap?
Worked so long ago.
Yeah, it's a long time ago, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't say it.
Well, you were thinking it. President's Day is coming up. That will be a holiday that will be, again, we'll be utilizing here at the town of Smyrna. So on February the 20th, 2023, we will be closed at our main office and some of the other offices. But I always like to remind people, while we have the benefit of taking a holiday, our police department, fire department, parks, golf course, wastewater treatment plant, the water plant, hopefully not the water and sewer maintenance people will be out during that time, but we do have a lot of people that will still be working, and it always amazes me during the holidays. Typically, during a holiday, over half of our staff is still rendering services to our community. they don't get that holiday. They have to work. So thank you to all those folks that will be providing those services, and we appreciate what you do. The last thing I have tonight is, pay your taxes. It's that time of the year. And we're happy to report that the VITA program, again, we've partnered with United Way and here at the town of Smyrna. In the back of the office here, downstairs, the VITA site is available. They are taking appointments. The VITA offers free tax preparation services for individuals and families who earn $70,000 or less in 2022. There's a couple of different ways this year that you could do it. They actually have an online do-it-yourself, and they can file with a virtual tax partner, or they can file in person at the local VITA site. And again, the one here at the town of Smyrna is in the back of the building. To schedule your appointment, go to your local UW at org/VITA. So that takes care of that. The last thing I have is my soapbox. Continued to see trash in our streets. This week, even one of our council members called me and somebody had dropped a bag of trash on Needham Drive and a car hit it and it strows it all over the place, and it just causes more problems for us to go out there and get that cleaned up. And folks, I think I need to find that number from the state of what we spend in the state of Tennessee picking up trash. It's astronomical. But as I say, love where you live. Take a little pride in your community, folks. If you have litter in your car, condense it, put it in a receptacle at your home or at the service station or the next place you stop for fast food or those kind of things. There's garbage cans everywhere, folks. Don't use our streets as a place to dispose of your litter. Love where you live. If you see somebody littering, there is a litter hotline now through the state. It's 1-877-8-LITTER. Report the tag number and the person you saw littering, and they may get a little knock on the door and get to talk to some of our folks. So take it serious. Love where you live. Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks. Jeff?
Yeah, the only thing I'd say is prayers and condolences to the folks in Turkey and Syria that are going through this rough time.
Yeah. Raquel?
Thank you, Chief, for bringing that information to us. I really appreciate you sharing that information. You're right, we don't always get to hear the good things that are happening and the things that are positively affecting people's lives, so thank you. Thank you to the wastewater and the water treatment team for all that you all are doing and the good accolades that you're getting, and for all your hard work in getting these things done and getting us approved for the expansion. That's great to hear. Let's see, and next week is Valentine's Day, so happy early Valentine to everyone. And also this month, February is Black History Month, and so I also want to acknowledge that and encourage you to go and learn about some different individuals who are of African American descent and see how they've affected our country. There are plenty to learn from, and that's all I have.
Thank you. HC?
Simple and easy tonight. Be kind and shop local. It's all, Tim, you could follow that now.
Well, thank you, HG. I appreciate that. I was privileged today to attend Business at its Best with several members from the council and staff today. We're in a vibrant community. Things continue to grow. We continue to move forward when there are so many places around our country that aren't doing as well. So it's always a great reminder, and it's the efforts between local municipalities as well as our chamber that we continue to be successful. So that's it.
Okay. Not sure if I'm going to pull it up now or not, but I had the opportunity and privilege yesterday, along with Brian and Rex and Todd, and to go to the grand opening of Just Love Coffee. If you haven't been in there, it's really a nice place. It's got a place to sit down. They have things to eat, things to drink. I think they said yesterday that they were already the number 3 as far as business. So it's really doing well. And That was one of the largest attended, they said, as far as the chamber for a grand opening. So I recommend that if you get a chance, go by and see them. They're really nice folks. I want to talk just a minute. Raquel brought it up just a second ago, and as most of you know, and as she mentioned, February is Black History Month. And I was reflecting on that over the last month or so, and I just kind of wanted to share a few thoughts of people that have meant a lot to me in this town, and people that have influenced the history of this town, and just kind of wanted to just say thank you and acknowledge them. But I had this picture. I got it, I don't know, probably a year or so ago, and I actually got it because I probably don't look this old, but our 50th reunion's coming up pretty soon, and I wanted to put together some things to show the classmates about Smyrna. And I'm come across this picture, and I'm going to use it at the reunion. But when I got to thinking, I went back and started thinking about some of my earliest childhood memories. And one of the very first things that came to my thought was Mr. Peebles, Turner Peebles' place. I don't know how many in here might have remembered that or not, but he fixed shoes. And it just amazed me when I'd walk into that store and see him working on those shoes. And I remember him wearing that coat, and it didn't seem like it ever got dirty. But those shoes were always grinding on that grinding wheel and getting them right. But he was just such a nice guy. You could see the smile. And so I got to thinking about him, and as a child, I remember I was so small that I would actually look up and see all these shoes that he had, and what just a fond memory that it brought. But then I thought a little bit further about, you talk about legacy, and the people's name is very big in our town. I've had the opportunity and the honor to serve with Raquel, and I don't know the actual relationship here between them, but that name just, you hear it a lot. I had the opportunity to play basketball with Larry Peoples. He's since passed away, but what he meant to me, and then Carolyn Peoples, who last year won our Volunteer of the Year here in Smyrna. So we have a lot of legacy, and I got to thinking about different people as well, and I thought about Miss Donna back here, and I've known the Smiths for a long time. My brother and Aaron played basketball together, and I went to school with Derek, and really what they mean to this town. And Miss Appleton, who's a pillar of this community. You don't come into this room on a council meeting without seeing Miss Appleton here, and I've had the fortune to get to know her even more over the last 4 or 5 years, and what a blessing it is, and what a blessing it is to our town. And I got to thinking even more about other people that made an impact on me, and a lot of it goes back to playing basketball with a lot of them. The Lewis family. I played with Steve Lewis, played with Frankie Jenkins, played with Gene Clark, and then, of course, Bubba and Stanley and Jesse, and all of those. I want to make sure I don't miss anybody. Dale Haynes. Dale was if you don't know, Dale was a police officer here in the town of Smyrna. He recently passed away. But all of those people meant so much to me, and they mean a lot to this town. And I really appreciate what they did. I can't go on without saying something about one of my very best friends, which is Jerry Green and the Green family. And just spending time with him, and we've been friends since 7th grade. But I say that in that we have a lot of history here in the town of Smyrna. And they mean a lot to me, and they mean a lot to this community. So I just wanted to say I appreciate them. If you haven't gone and looked at the history of Smyrna and looked on the section about Hilltop and Rosenwald, I recommend you go look at it and just see, what all the history is that we have here in the town of Smyrna. That's all I've got.
Speaking of history, we have copies at our office there on Sam Ridley Parkway. If anybody would like a copy of Smyrna, the church, the town. It's a very thick book put together by Walter King Hoover. And we're handing out copies there at the office. So if anybody's interested in one, 557 Sam Ridley Parkway is my office. Come in. We've got an ample supply of those. We'd be glad to give you a copy. So happy Valentine's Day ahead of time to my wife, Connie. She puts up with a lot out of me, and she's my Valentine, and I know that you'll warn us all to make sure we treat our wives right. So to Andrew Schaefer, that name was mentioned. I've known Andrew since he was a young guy, before he ever became a police officer. So I'm pretty proud of Andrew to be recognized. And Chief, you mentioned our police officers and some of the things they deal with and go through. And many times we, the public, don't even know it. I know the council is apprised of a lot of the things that happen in a serious nature throughout the town. And sometimes we see those things we're a little shocked by, to be honest. But lots of thoughts and prayers to our police officers as they deal with those things. I know Officer Trong, he's a good officer, and he was at my father-in-law's house the morning he passed away. And so I can remember talking with him and sharing some things with him. But our police officers don't get much recognition. Like you said, it's usually negative things in the national media about our police, when in fact they're out there putting their lives on the line, and they have families at home too. And we don't need to forget them. Our family, they have families that worry about them every time they walk out the door because they don't know if they're coming home or not. So kudos to our police department and the jobs they're doing, the investigators that found the perpetrator that was a murderer, and Officer Trong for helping through a suicidal situation. I mean, I can't imagine walking into something like that and having the quick wit to manage that situation when somebody really wants to take their life. So congratulations isn't the right word, but thank you is. So I just want to share my thanks and appreciation for all the things you shared to us earlier. I know Jim Heath is getting ready to retire, Assistant Chief of Fire Department, and so I want to wish Mr. Heath a great retirement. And today, Tim mentioned we did attend the business luncheon, and Chris Jones with Middle Tennessee Electric was recognized as the Business Legend of the Year. If you don't know Chris Jones, he's a quality guy. He's been with Middle Tennessee Electric now for 24 years and has done a wonderful job, and had a chance to talk to him right afterwards and congratulated him. And you don't find people much nicer than Chris. He's a very high character guy. So I just want to say congratulations to Chris. That's all.
Great. A couple of items tonight. First of all, our boards and committees, we will be appointing those at our next meeting. And if you are interested in serving on a board or committee, we encourage you to go on our town website and apply. It'll tell you about each board and committee and kind of the roles and responsibilities, as well as the date in which they meet. So if you're interested in a board or committee, we encourage you to go online and put in an application. Next up is congratulations to the Tailored Closet on their recent grand opening. We always like to see new business and industry coming here to the town, so congratulations to them. As it's been mentioned, February is Black History Month, and which is a tribute to African American men and women who have made compelling and momentous contributions to our individual communities, to America, and to the world. I encourage you to go out and learn something new, educate yourself. Jerry, I appreciate you talking a little bit about how you've been impacted and those people that are special in your individual life, but also to this community. So we will be featuring some things on Facebook, so be looking for that. And anything else, council? If nothing else, we are adjourned.